Welcome to our deep dive into the 5 a.m. Club. It's this really interesting mix of self-help philosophy, and it's also kind of like this adventure story, all centered around this idea of really maximizing your potential. We are going to take apart some of the biggest principles and kind of see how they might apply to our lives.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so fascinating about this book is how Robin Sharma, the author,
Mm.
immediately throws us into this world of contrasts.
Right.
We've got this mysterious seminar led by this enigmatic guru, they call him the Spellbinder. And in attendance are a driven entrepreneur and a skeptical artist, both successful in their own right, but both searching for something more.
Okay, so I'm hooked already. So tell me, what is it about this spellbinder that draws in these different personalities? Because they seem kind of skeptical at first.
Well, you've got to think about it. The entrepreneur is on the verge of burnout. Her business is struggling and she's lost her sense of purpose. The artist, on the other hand, he's battling this kind of self-sabotage and he's got some creative blocks. They're both at a crossroads. They're both primed for this radical shift.
That makes a lot of sense. It kind of reminds me of that quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Oh, exactly. And the teacher in this case is not who you would expect at all. It turns out that a chance encounter with this seemingly homeless man outside of the seminar leads to this life-changing invitation to a private island. And this vagabond is actually a billionaire mentored by the spellbinder himself.
Whoa, okay, so talk about a plot twist. So it seems like Sharma is playing with our assumptions about wealth and success right from the beginning.
Absolutely. He really challenges us to look beyond appearances and to question our own biases.
Mm.
This billionaire, his name is Mr. Riley, becomes their guide. He leads them through this series of early morning adventures that are designed to push their limits and reveal their true potential. But one of the first things he introduces is this concept of learned victimhood. This idea that we often unconsciously adopt this victim mentality, blaming external circumstances for our lack of success or our lack of fulfillment.
Oh, that is so relatable. It's so easy to fall into that trap of making excuses.
It is. And Mr. Riley's message is all about taking ownership of your life, regardless of your past or your current circumstances. He stresses that true success is not just about external achievements, but also about inner fulfillment and joy.
So how does waking up at 5 a.m. tie into all of this?
Well, he calls it owning your morning, elevating your life. And he argues that the first hour of the day is crucial. It's like you're setting the tone for the rest of your day. He introduces this thing called the 20-20-20 formula, where you dedicate the first 20 minutes to intense exercise, the next 20 to reflection and journaling, and the final 20 to personal growth activities like reading or learning a new skill.
It sounds intense, but also incredibly powerful. Does he get into the science behind why this structure works?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He draws on research about habit formation and willpower and the brain's plasticity. He even uses this really interesting example of London cab drivers. Their hippocampi, the part of the brain that is responsible for spatial memory. It actually grew larger because of their demanding work navigating the city's complex streets.
That is so fascinating. It really highlights that idea that our brains can adapt and grow based on the challenges that we embrace. But isn't waking up at 5 a.m. kind of unrealistic for some people?
I mean, that's a fair question. And while he does advocate for 5 a.m. as the optimal time, he does acknowledge that it might not be feasible for everyone. The key takeaway, I think, is the structure itself. Carving out that dedicated time for yourself before the demands of the day take over.
So it's more about the principle of an intentional morning routine, not necessarily the exact hour that you wake up.
Exactly. He also emphasizes this concept of tight bubbles of total focus throughout the day. And this is where he introduces this thing called the 60-10 method, working in 60-minute sprints followed by 10-minute recovery periods.
Oh, so it's not just about starting strong, it's about maintaining that momentum throughout the workday.
Precisely. He argues that our brains aren't really designed for sustained focus over long periods. By working in these focus bursts and then allowing ourselves to recharge, we can actually be more productive and creative.
This all makes a lot of sense. But I have to admit, part of me wonders, is this all just a recipe for relentless productivity? What about rest and recovery?
That's where his emphasis on something he calls supercompensation comes in. It's this idea that by pushing your limits, followed by these strategic periods of rest, you actually enhance your growth and performance, both physically and mentally.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of these pieces fit together. He's not just advocating for this nonstop hustle. It's about finding a balance between pushing yourself and then giving yourself that space to recover and recharge.
Exactly. That balance is key to long-term success and well-being.
But tell me, how does this billionaire character, Mr. Riley, actually teach these concepts? Does he just lecture them on the beach?
Well, that's where the storytelling comes in. He doesn't just spout theories. He takes them on these adventures, he weaves in these fascinating anecdotes, and even shares his own personal struggles and triumphs. For instance, he takes them to Rome to connect their journey to historical figures like Marcus Aurelius, who also believed in the power of these intentional morning routines. He even introduces them to his own inner circle, this diverse group of individuals who embody the principles of the 5 a.m. Club.
It's fascinating how he weaves in these historical and personal elements into the story. It makes the concepts much more relatable and engaging.
Absolutely. And as they're going through these experiences, the artist who initially dismissed this whole 5 a.m. club idea,
Yeah.
as something that only rich people do, starts to experience this real shift in his perspective.
Okay, so the skeptic is starting to come around.
Exactly. He begins to see that it's not about wealth or status. It's about a commitment to personal growth and maximizing your potential, regardless of your background.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. I'm curious to see how this transformation unfolds and what other insights Mr. Riley has in store for them.
One of the most powerful concepts he introduces is this thing called the 90901 rule. It's deceptively simple, but it can have a huge impact on your productivity.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me about this 90901 rule.
So it's all about prioritizing your most important work. For 90 days straight, you dedicate the first 90 minutes of your workday to your single most important task. He calls it your 20-mile march. And this laser focus can lead to some pretty breakthrough results.
So no checking emails or social media first thing in the morning.
Exactly. It's about eliminating those distractions and diving deep into the work that truly moves the needle.
Yep.
He compares it to elite marathon runners. They train consistently day after day, focus on covering that specific distance no matter what. And it's that relentless consistency that breeds those extraordinary results.
That makes a lot of sense. So by dedicating that uninterrupted time to your top priority, you're really setting yourself up for success. But how do you sustain that focus throughout the day? You were talking about the 60-10 method earlier.
Right. The 60-10 method actually complements the 90901 rule beautifully. It's about creating those tight bubbles of total focus throughout your day, working in those 60-minute sprints, followed by those 10-minute breaks to recharge.
So it's not just about starting strong, it's about maintaining that momentum throughout the entire workday.
Exactly. And the key is to completely disconnect during those 10-minute breaks. No phone, no emails, no screens. Instead, you engage in activities that help you recover and refuel. Maybe take a walk, meditate, listen to some music, anything that helps you return to your work feeling refreshed and ready to focus again.
This all sounds great in theory, but I have to admit I struggle with self-discipline. I'm easily distracted, and sticking to a strict routine can be really tough. Does the book offer any strategies for overcoming those challenges?
Absolutely. Mr. Riley really emphasizes the importance of mindset and understanding what he calls the 4 interior empires: mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. And he believes that true transformation requires aligning all 4 of these empires.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly does he mean by these empires?
So your mindset is about cultivating positive beliefs and thoughts, challenging those limiting beliefs and developing a growth mindset. Your heart set is about connecting with your emotions, cultivating compassion and gratitude, and finding joy in the journey. Health set focuses on physical well-being, so exercise, nutrition, sleep, and understanding how your physical health impact your mental and emotional state. And finally, your soul set is about connecting to a sense of purpose and meaning, and something larger than yourself.
It's a very holistic approach. It's recognizing that our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being are all interconnected.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that neglecting any one of these empires can sabotage your efforts in the others. It's about finding that balance and creating a sustainable foundation for growth.
So it's not just about hacks and techniques. It's about a deeper, more holistic transformation.
Right. He even uses this metaphor of a tightrope walker. He says that mastering any skill, whether it's waking up early or achieving success in your field, it's like walking a tightrope. You need to constantly make adjustments and find your balance. And to do that, you need strength in all 4 of your empires.
I like that analogy. It really drives home the point that this is a journey that requires ongoing effort and attention.
He also stresses the importance of embracing discomfort and seeing challenges as opportunities for growth. He encourages the entrepreneur and the artist to fall in love with the struggle and to view obstacles as stepping stones.
That's a powerful message. It's easy to get discouraged when things get tough, but it sounds like he's advocating for a mindset shift, to see those challenges as opportunities for learning and growth.
Precisely. And this is where another one of his key concepts comes in. It's called the heroic human circle. He introduces this idea when he takes them to his vineyard in South Africa.
Oh, right. The vineyard in Franschhoek. That was a beautiful setting.
It was. And it's there that he reveals his own struggles with burnout and how he learned the importance of rest and recovery. He introduces the heroic human circle as a framework for understanding the virtues that lead to true fulfillment and impact.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this heroic human circle.
So he identifies 10 key virtues: honesty, bravery, integrity, compassion, humility, drive, understanding, service, capital, and poetry. And he believes that cultivating these virtues is essential for becoming an effective leader and making a positive impact on the world.
So it's about character development as much as it's about productivity and success.
Exactly. It's not just about what you achieve, it's about how you achieve it and the impact you have on others.
It sounds like he's challenging that conventional definition of success and advocating for a more holistic and ethical approach.
He is.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just lecture about these virtues, he encourages them to embody them through their actions. He takes them to Brazil, where he's funding a school for underprivileged children. He challenges them to get involved and use their talents to make a difference.
It's like he's saying, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk.
Yes. And in that process, they both experience this profound shift in their perspective. They start to understand that true wealth is not measured by money or possessions, but by the quality of your experiences, the depth of your relationships, and your contribution to something greater than yourself.
It's a beautiful message. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter our background or circumstances.
And it's not just about grand gestures. He encourages them to find poetry in those everyday moments, to appreciate the beauty around them, to connect with nature, to cultivate a sense of wonder and gratitude.
It sounds like he's encouraging them and us to slow down, savor the journey, and find joy in those simple things.
Absolutely. And as they embrace these principles, we see both the entrepreneur and the artist undergoing these remarkable transformations. The entrepreneur regains her passion for her business. She finds a way to navigate the challenges she's facing, and she even discovers a new love for philanthropy.
And what about the artist? How does his journey unfold?
He finally overcomes his self-sabotaging tendencies and experiences this creative breakthrough. He starts to see his art in a new light, not just as a means of self-expression, but also as a way to connect with others and make a positive impact.
It sounds like they both discovered a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment.
They did. And what's interesting is that their personal journeys are mirrored in the development of their relationship. They start out as these skeptical allies, but as they go through these experiences together, they develop this deep connection that eventually blossoms into love.
That's a beautiful touch. It highlights the power of shared experiences and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who support your growth.
Exactly. And their wedding, which takes place in Brazil, becomes this symbol of their transformation and the culmination of their journey. It's a celebration not just of their love for each other, but also of their commitment to living extraordinary lives.
So it's a happy ending. But their journey doesn't end there, does it?
No. The book concludes with this final message from Mr. Riley, emphasizing that true mastery is this ongoing process. He challenges them to continue pushing their limits, seeking new experiences, and using their talents to make a positive impact on the world. He leaves them with 11 billionaires' maxims, these concise principles that encapsulate the wisdom and insights he's shared throughout their adventure.
These maxims sound like a valuable takeaway for our listeners. Can you share a few examples?
Of course. One that really resonated with me is, to create magic in the world, own the magic within yourself. It's a reminder that true transformation starts from within. Another one is, collect miraculous experiences over material things. He encourages them to prioritize experiences and relationships over possessions. And one of my favorites is, the greatest of follies is to sacrifice health for any other kind of happiness. He emphasizes the importance of taking care of your physical and mental well-being as the foundation for everything else.
Those are some powerful reminders. It sounds like he's urging them and us to live with intention, to pursue our passions, and to never stop seeking growth and meaning. It really is a powerful message. You know, so much of our culture is focused on external achievements and material possessions, but it sounds like the 5 a.m. Club is advocating for a totally different definition of success, one that prioritizes personal growth and meaningful experiences and making a positive impact on the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's about aligning your actions with your values and finding that deeper sense of purpose in your life. And it's not just about what you do, it's about who you become in the process.
So after this deep dive into the 5 a.m. Club, what are some of the key takeaways that our listeners can apply to their own lives, even if they don't plan on waking up at 5 a.m. every morning?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is the power of owning your morning. It's about creating a morning routine that sets you up for success. physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It doesn't have to be 5 a.m., but it does require carving out that time for yourself before the demands of the day take over.
So it's about creating that space for intentionality and self-care.
Absolutely. And it's about using that time strategically. The 20-20-20 formula is a great framework, but you can adapt it to fit your own needs and goals. The key is to find what works for you and make it a consistent habit.
Another takeaway that really resonated with me was the importance of mindset and the idea of the four interior empires. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Mr. Riley argues that our mindset, our beliefs and thoughts, they play a huge role in our success and well-being. He encourages us to cultivate a positive mindset, challenge those limiting beliefs, and develop a growth mindset.
So it's about becoming aware of those negative self-talk patterns and actively choosing more empowering thoughts.
Yes. And it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about aligning your thoughts with your actions and your goals.
The other empires, heart set, health set, and soul set, also seemed really crucial to this whole process.
Absolutely. Your heart set is about connecting with your emotions, cultivating compassion and gratitude, and finding joy in the journey. Health set is about prioritizing your physical well-being, so exercise, nutrition, sleep. And soul set is about connecting to a sense of purpose and meaning and something larger than yourself.
It sounds like he's advocating for a very holistic approach to personal growth, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit.
He is. And he emphasizes that neglecting any one of these empires can sabotage your efforts in the others.
The heroic human circle also stood out as a powerful framework for personal development. Can you remind us of those 10 virtues?
Oh, sure. The 10 virtues are honesty, bravery, integrity, compassion, humility, drive, understanding, service, capital, and poetry.
It's an interesting mix of qualities. It's not just about being a go-getter or achieving success. It's also about being a good person, contributing to something larger than yourself, and finding beauty and meaning in everyday life.
Exactly. And he stresses that cultivating these virtues is an ongoing process, a journey of self-discovery and growth.
So it's not about achieving perfection overnight. It's about striving to be a little better each day.
Right. And it's about aligning your actions with your values and using your talents and resources to make a positive impact on the world.
It sounds like the 5 a.m. club, at its core, is a call to action. It's about waking up to your full potential, not just in the morning, but in all areas of your life.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's about taking ownership of your life, designing a life that aligns with your values, and making a conscious effort to become the best version of yourself.
And as Mr. Riley says, own your morning, elevate your life.
He does. And I think that's a challenge we can all embrace, whether we're waking up at 5 a.m. or not.
So for our listeners who are feeling inspired to make some changes, where should they start?
Well, I think the best place to start is by asking yourself some key questions. What are your values? What are your goals? What kind of life do you want to create? And then start small. Make one small change to your morning routine. Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier or incorporating a short meditation or reading into your day. The key is consistency.
So it's about taking those small steps, building those positive habits, and gradually creating a life that feels aligned and fulfilling.
Exactly. And remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you for taking us on this deep dive into the 5 a.m. Club. It's been a really insightful and inspiring conversation.
It's been my pleasure. I hope our listeners feel empowered to own their mornings and elevate their lives.